Hey guys, and welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be sharing with you all things Instant Pot. This video is directed to anybody who is newer to the Instant Pot, any beginners. I want to make sure that you are feeling comfortable using your Instant Pot and that I can help you feel brave enough to get that Instant Pot out of the box and going in your kitchen. I'm going to share with you 5 important things you need to know every time you use your Instant Pot. I'm going to share the 5 most used, most important buttons on your Instant Pot and how you're going to use them. And I'm going to share with you 5 simple, foolproof recipes to get you started with your Instant Pot. You can find all of these recipes on my blog. You can find printable reference sheets and much, much more. You can find a link below in the video description. Like this video, give me a thumbs up. I hope more than anything that you find this information helpful and that it helps you to feel confident in using your Instant Pot. Okay, let's chat Instant Pots. I'm going to tell you some basic but very important rules for you to remember anytime you are using an Instant Pot. I have here the Instant Pot Duo. This is the 7-in-1 Instant Pot, and I have an Ultra. They are both 6 quarts, but the rules are going to apply whether you have a 3-quart, a 6-quart, or an 8-quart Instant Pot. Now you can take notes on these, or you can go over to my blog and get a printable reference sheet that will help you if you are getting started to not feel intimidated by your Instant Pot, and help you remember these very important rules. The first rule is just understanding the way an Instant Pot works. An Instant Pot is a pressure cooker, and the way that it cooks the food is that it uses the liquid inside the Instant Pot to build pressure. What that means is you always have to make sure that you have enough liquid in your Instant Pot for any recipe to work. Now you cannot just put in any liquid and expect it to come to pressure. Thin liquids are essential for your Instant Pot to come to pressure. Now that can mean water or broth or wine or other thin liquids like that. Not typically things like barbecue sauce or ketchup or pasta sauce. You need something that is going to be thin at the bottom of your Instant Pot. Most often this means that you're going to need at least a half a cup of a thin liquid before you start cooking. Now there are some recipes that I share on my blog where I only add a 1/4 cup or a 1/3 cup of water. But that's either because that the cook time is really short or because the ingredients in the pot are also going to give off enough liquid for the pot to be able to come to pressure. But generally speaking, you're going to want at least a half a cup of water towards the bottom of your pot. Now the next thing that's going to be really important for you to remember anytime you use your Instant Pot are 2 things. You're going to either quick release the pressure or you're going to let the pressure naturally release. So on some recipes, you will see this abbreviated as QR or NR, quick release or naturally release. A quick release is also a manual release, and that just means that when the cook time is complete, you're going to turn the valve at the back of your Instant Pot from sealing to venting, and that's going to let all of the steam escape from the pressure cooker. This can be kind of scary at first because you have a lot of hot steam escaping from your Instant Pot, but as long as you keep your hand and your arm out of the way, out of the path of the steam, then you'll be just fine. Of course, you want to make sure that your Instant Pot is not under your cabinets when you let the pressure out, or that you have any children around who are going to accidentally stick their hand in the path of the steam and get burned. So just make sure you keep an eye on it. Most of the time when you are releasing the pressure, it does not take more than 3 to 5 minutes. However, sometimes when you have a really high volume of ingredients inside, especially liquids, things like broth or marinara sauce, if you have a lot of soup, or I make tea in my Instant Pot, it's going to take longer for the pressure to release. So now the second type is natural release, and that's when you don't do anything. You let the pressure release on its own, and this can take anywhere from 5, 10, sometimes 15 or 20 minutes, again, depending on the volume of whatever you have inside your Instant Pot. You're going to use a natural release just about any time you cook meat, and that is because when you do a quick release, all of that air is shooting out and it can dry your meat up. So anytime you cook meat, whether it's chicken breast, a whole chicken, or a roast or things like that, when you have a big piece of meat inside, you want to let it naturally release. You will know that your pressure has naturally released because the pin that comes up when the pressure builds drops down when the pressure has naturally released. You also will not be able to take the lid off unless that pin has dropped and the pressure is released. This is one of the safety features of the Instant Pot and one of the things that makes it so safe and so easy to use. Now, the third thing that I want to mention as an important rule is to always deglaze your pot before you start pressure cooking if you have used the saute feature first. And now this just means that if you saute or you brown your meat before you start cooking it, sometimes those food pieces can get stuck to the bottom of the pot. You want to make sure that when you pour in your cooking liquid, whatever that may be, whether that is water, broth, or wine, that you go ahead and you use a spatula or a wooden spoon to scrape the bottom of the pot and release any pieces of food that have stuck. If you have too much stuck to the bottom of your pot, your Instant Pot can think that there's something wrong and you can get a burn message. So always make sure that you deglaze after you've sauteed before you start pressure cooking. The fourth thing that I want to tell you is that yes, you can cook meat from frozen. This is a really big advantage of the Instant Pot. You can put in your frozen chicken breast, you can cook your roast from frozen, and it's not going to alter the cook time. What it will alter is the time that it takes to come to pressure. So you're starting with much colder ingredients, so it's going to take longer for your pot to come to pressure. So just be aware of that if you put in frozen ingredients, it's going to take longer on the front end for your cook time to actually get started. Now, the other thing to know about cook time is that the cook time varies by the size of the meat that you are cooking. So if I have a big roast, that 2 to 3 pound roast, and I'm putting it in my Instant Pot whole, that's going to take a lot longer than if I were to cut that roast up into 2 or 3 inch pieces. If you cut the roast into smaller pieces, or the same for chicken breast, if you slice your chicken breast in half so that it's cutlets, or cut it into smaller pieces like 1 inch pieces like you were going to cook in a soup or something like that, then your cook time is going to be decreased. If I were to put in more chicken that still has been cut up, that is not affecting my cook time. So just remember that your cook time goes up depending on the size of the pieces of meat itself, not the number of pieces that you have in your pot. Now, the final rule that I want to share with you is how to actually calculate the total cook time of a recipe. A lot of times you'll see a recipe and you'll see that it says 5 minutes under pressure. And a lot of times people who are getting started with the Instant Pot can think, oh, my food is going to be done in 5 minutes. But when their food takes 15 minutes to cook, then that can be a really big discouragement. The thing that you need to remember when you are cooking with your Instant Pots is you have to factor in 3 times. The time that it takes to come to pressure, the time that it is actually cooking under pressure, and then the time that it takes for the pressure to release. Of course, that can depend on whether you're doing a quick release or a natural release. So the more that you cook with your Instant Pot, the easier it'll be to calculate that overall cook time. One thing to remember is just, again, the amount that you have in your Instant Pot is going to determine how long it takes to come to pressure. If you have just like my ridiculously easy chicken breast recipe, where you only have 2 chicken breasts at the bottom of the pot and 1/3 a cup of water, it's not going to take as long for the Instant Pot to come to pressure as it would if you had a full batch of soup. A full batch of soup that has maybe 6 to 8 cups of broth and meat and vegetables is going to take a lot longer than something that is just a couple of pieces of meat and 1/2 cup of water at the bottom of your Instant Pot. So again, the more you do it, the easier it will be to calculate that overall cook time. Just remember that the time under pressure is not the only amount of time that you need to take into account when you are planning your meal prep. Along with the cook time is just understanding the timer. So you have your timer on the front of your Instant Pot. When you hit start, your pot will read on. Now it's going to read on during the time that it comes to pressure. When your pin comes up and your pot has come to pressure, then it's going to switch over and it's going to start your countdown timer, and that is the time that you have set for it to cook under pressure. So say I'm cooking my chicken for 12 minutes under pressure. Well, it's going to say on while it's building pressure, and then it's going to start your timer at 12 minutes as soon as it comes to pressure, and then it's going to count down all the way to 1, and then it'll beep and switch, and at that point, it's going to switch your pot to keep warm. When it starts at keep warm, it's going to start at 0, and then your timer is going to go up, and then it will go up increasingly as long as you leave your pot on keep warm. So those are the 5 basic rules that you need to remember when you are using your Instant Pots. And again, you can find a free printable copy of these 5 principles for cooking with your Instant Pots on my blog, thispilgrimlife.com. Print them out, keep them in your kitchen, and use them as you are getting used to your Instant Pots. All right, I'm going to show you the 5 most important, most used buttons on your Instant Pot. This is going to help you get started, and really this could take you through pretty much everything that you do with your Instant Pot. I almost only use these 5 buttons. Okay, the first button that I want to show you is the saute button, and that is because it's the button that you will use first about 30% of the time. Your saute button heats the bottom of your pot so that you can either brown your meat or saute onions or vegetables, saute your aromatics to build flavor before you cook your food under pressure. So when you hit the saute button, which right here, it's on the Duo, it's on the bottom of the panel. So when I hit saute, you will see it read 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, your Instant Pot will shut off. Now, it's going to build up heat. You can either start sauteing immediately, but what I do most often is I wait for the screen to read hot. This will take 2 to 3 minutes, and during that time is a great time to either season your meat or chop your vegetables. When the screen reads hot, you can add your meat, brown it, sear it, saute your vegetables, build flavor. The saute feature is a really great feature of the Instant Pot. Now the next button that you need to know is the cancel or keep warm button. So say I'm finished browning my meat, I need to hit cancel so that I can select another feature. So once you hit cancel, it will switch to off, and I can go ahead and place my lid on, secure it, and then I'm able to hit the manual or pressure cook button. On older Instant Pots, this button says manual. On newer Instant Pots, it says pressure cook, but it's doing the same thing. It's the button that you're going to use to pressure cook your food. It will show a time. You can use the plus and minus buttons to adjust your time. So my time right now says 15 minutes. If I wanted to take it down to 10, I would just use the minus button to select 10. And then at this point, it will switch to on. And again, like I mentioned in an earlier video, it's going to read on until it comes to pressure. One of the safety features of your Instant Pot that my toddler just so nicely demonstrated is that it will not build pressure unless your lid is securely in place. Okay, so the next button that I want to make you familiar with is the adjust button. So on some recipes, you're going to want to either cook at low pressure, or you'll need to adjust the saute feature to either low, medium, or high. So let's say I want to brown my meat at a higher temperature. So I can hit saute, and then immediately if I push the adjust button, it will switch to high, low, or medium. All right, the fifth and final button that I wanted to show you is the yogurt button. It's the other button that I use the most frequently. If you want to make yogurt in your Instant Pot, you can find a full guide on my blog, along with a printable pictorial reference sheet that'll take you through how to make yogurt in 10 simple steps. But if you push the yogurt button right here, you will see that a time comes up. It says 6 hours, and that's just the default incubation time for yogurt. But unless you are making no boil yogurt, what you're going to want to do after you push yogurt is the first step is to boil your milk, and you're gonna heat your milk up to 180 degrees. So if I push the adjust button, it will say boil. And so you're adjusting your yogurt setting to high to heat that milk. Now, say I've already boiled my milk. If I hit cancel, I hit yogurt again, and I adjust it to the normal. It'll go back to that default time of incubation. Most people incubate their yogurt from either 6 hours all the way up to 10 hours. I usually do it for right about 7 hours. Okay, and those are the 5 most important, most used buttons on the Duo that you are going to want to use. Now, your Ultra is very similar, but with the Ultra, instead of just having the buttons, you have the click wheel with the digital screen. So if you push your button right here, your screen will pop on. Okay, the Ultra is a little bit different in that it has this click wheel, and if you turn it, you can go from different settings on your Instant Pot. You can click saute or go on up to the top and hit pressure cook. So if I wanted to go to pressure cook here, I would scroll until pressure cook is blinking, push the wheel in once, and then I have where I can change the different settings on the screen. So I can change the cook time, I can change whether I want to cook on high pressure or low pressure. I can select whether I want the delayed start to be on or off, and I can select whether I want it to go to the default keep warm when it is finished cooking or not. So in order to go to each one of those settings, I just move the wheel up and down, and if it's blinking, then I am able to adjust those. So if I wanted to adjust the pressure and go to low pressure, I would just push it in once and then select low. Once low is blinking, then I can push it in again, and then I've selected low pressure. For the time, once your time is highlighted and blinking, just push it in once, and you can move your wheel and increase the time or decrease the time. Once you have it set on what you want, say I want to cook it for 5 minutes under pressure, I would just push the wheel in again. And then once all my settings are the way that I like them, I'll just push start, and it will start to cook. And you can see at the bottom of your Ultra here, it has a little graph, and when you first start, it says preheating, and then it will show when the pressure is all the way built, and then it will come down as the pressure is releasing. Okay, I hope that you have found this video helpful. I hope that if you are just starting out with your Instant Pot, that you will go ahead, take it out of the box and use it, because I really think that it can be one of the most used appliances in your kitchen. It really is a fabulous tool. It's one that I use often for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can find printable recipes. You can find a reference sheet for all of this information that I have shared in this video today, and so much more on my blog, thispilgrimlife.com. You can also find more Instant Pot and other cooking videos on this YouTube channel. So if you've enjoyed this video, if you've found it helpful, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and hit that bell if you want to be notified when I share new videos.